Hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Am I the Asshole? If you like hearing Reddit stories, it would really support the channel if you could like or subscribe. Let's dive into our first story right away. Am I the asshole for telling my classmates that I don't want an American name? Hi, so basically I'm an Irish dude who recently moved to America for a year or so, and basically when I introduced myself to my new American classmates, they all decided that my name, Ciarn, is too hard to spell / pronounce, so they all collectively decided to give me an American name. Practically everyone has started to call me Connor instead of my actual name, and it's starting to piss me off. I have told them many times that I actually don't mind if they pronounce, spell, remember it wrong, just as long as they're calling me by my actual name. Then even a few teachers are calling me Connor, and I get a little pissed off and tell everybody if they could please just call me Ciarn, as polite as I possibly can. Everyone told me I was being dramatic and have started to call me even other names just to annoy me, like Caleb or Cade. Every time I bring up wanting to be called my actual name, they all roll their eyes and give me snarky comments. Of course, I do like my classmates, and they're all nice, but it does slightly piss me off. Am I being overdramatic, or do I have a fair point? Not the asshole. And they are being ridiculous. That is the name that I gave my child. And not only did people easily figure it out, but we met lots of other people with the same name in the US. No one gets to rename you. There is no such thing as an American name. What they are doing is disrespectful and offensive. People can learn a new name. It's not that hard. Now, my daughter has a name that really baffles Americans because there is a simhi in it. She says her name, people ask her to spell it, and she's like, yeah, that's not gonna help, lol. But they still learn it. It also opens up a lot of cool conversations. When we were in Hawaii, some older ladies asked her about her name, and she started explaining simhis and the Irish language, and the ladies were like, endangered indigenous language from a colonized island? Yes! They spent hours talking to her about Irish history and Hawaiian history and indigenous solidarity and how important it is that when her mom talks to her in Irish, she answers in Irish and not English. They also emphasized that when people say her name wrong, she corrects them each time because it's part of her identity and it's important. That's the advice I give to you. This scenario would easily be an HR situation in the working world. If a teacher is doing it too, it's very clearly also an HR situation they could be reprimanded for. However, going to HR isn't going to earn you any friends. I would just yawk with the teacher and let them know how you feel and ask that they support you in front of the class. If that doesn't work, then FM go to HR or whoever is responsible on campus for this stuff. If they tell you the same thing, then talk to a lawyer. Just because people are supposed to be professional doesn't mean they are. That also doesn't mean they just get to do whatever TF they want. Not the asshole. To paraphrase Hassan Minhaj, people can say Jake Gyllenhaal, so Ciarn shouldn't be the name to struggle on. It's a mark of respect to learn how to say someone's name, so you're absolutely right to refuse. I say this as someone with a surname that people correct the pronunciation of, like, I don't know my own name. Does the name not exist in the US at all? I would have thought they at least had the anglicized Kieran, if not Ciarn itself. Is Ciarn pronounced differently to Kieran? Nope. That's what's so surprising to me. I assumed that it was not that uncommon in the US. Not the asshole. Stop answering anyone that doesn't call you by your actual name, including teachers. When called out on it, say you didn't realize they were talking to you because they didn't use your name. Would I be the asshole if I tell my wedding planner friend what her assistant did at my wedding? Hey y'all, throwaway, so I'ma try to be quick with here. I am 27F and married my best friend 28M about a month ago. One of my good friends is a wedding planner, and I used her company for the coordinating. She was a guest at the wedding, but had 3 other people from her company work with my husband and I. They were amazing. The whole wedding went perfectly. Not a single complaint about the job the company did. One of the assistants was this guy, who looked to be about my age. I didn't give it much thought. This past weekend, I hung out with my friend Clara, 25 female. This is the first time we are seeing each other since my wedding. Clara told me a funny story about my wedding. She said a few days after my wedding, she received an Instagram follow and message from someone she didn't know. The gist of the message was that it was from the assistant coordinator at my wedding. He pretty much said that he was working and couldn't say anything, but he noticed her at the wedding and thought she was really beautiful, and he wanted to ask her on a date. She asked how he found her, and he proudly said that he noticed her, looked up the seating chart of the table she was seated at for dinner, and looked up every girl at the table until he found her. She said she wasn't comfortable with that and blocked him. She told me it was funny in hindsight, but at the time she was a little uncomfy. Clara did emphasize to me she didn't think it was a big deal. Would I be an asshole if I told my wedding planner friend about what happened? She will most likely report him to the head of the company, and maybe he will, or maybe he won't be fired. I don't know if I'm being vindictive or not. It doesn't sit right that we paid a guy to do a job, and he ended up stalking and DMing my friend. Not the asshole. And a lot of people would have an issue with a stranger using his company to find your private, personal information. Dude could have walked up and asked at the end of the wedding to be less creepy, but decided to illegally get a woman's information instead. When I first saw Future Wife, I was volunteering at a therapeutic writing group, and she was another volunteer. I knew the owner of the stables very well, and most of the other volunteers were under 18. I asked her the rough age of my future wife, and it was just 1 year younger than me. The owner offered me her number if I wanted to call. Owner was female. I smartly declined as I thought that it would be creepy. I struck up a conversation with my future wife and eventually asked her out. We have been married for 28 years. At one point, I asked her what would have happened if I had gotten her and called her. She said she would have felt threatened and never gone out with me. Jesus, take the wheel. No. Not the asshole. In fact, you will 100% be the asshole if you don't tell her. Because this creep is probably laying her and her company open to all kinds of damage, both legally and in terms of their reputation. It absolutely does not matter whether Clara thinks it's a big deal or not. The next woman might not be so, no, it's totally okay that men creep on me, don't mind that at all, lol, and there will be a next woman and one after that, and so forth. If I were your friend and I found out that you knew about this and didn't tell me, I would have words for you that you would probably not like. You might think that you're being nicer not to rock the boat, but you're doing your friend a huge disservice. Not to mention the fact that you know there's a man behaving in entirely inappropriate ways, and your reaction is to sweep it under the rug. Effing stop that. It is not your responsibility to see to it that a creep who behaves inappropriately toward women keeps his job. It is arguably partly your responsibility to see to it that he doesn't. Not the asshole. He at the very least needs to be told this isn't acceptable to do. Who knows if the company has already had other problems with him. If this is the first, they may just give him a reprimand. But if not the first, it's good info for them to have. Well, that's another episode of Am I the Asshole in the books. I really appreciate all of you who made it this far into the video. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, it would really help the channel out a lot if you gave the video a thumbs up, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.